All right. Hello, Professor David Liu is here today. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Dressed up a bit more formally on a Saturday than I would normally be, but it's for a good
We're
cause.
all dressed up more formally than we are on a Saturday. So I believe you have a small presentation for all of our first years that are here.
Yep, for sure. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen, I think. So yeah, first of all, I guess in terms of like technical difficulties, someone in Discord, I guess, like please shout if you can't actually see what I'm doing here on the screen. And I'm sure Anujan will let me know. Um, so yeah, first of all, thanks everyone for coming, and thank you to the CSSU for both organizing this event and inviting me to speak at it twice. I'm really excited to be here. I love doing student events like this, and especially at the start of term, and especially when we're online, I think it's really nice to be able to, um, I don't know, see some profs, see some students, kind of like mingle a little bit before things get really busy. So I'll try to keep my presentation relatively short. Basically, my goal here is to talk a little bit about kind of like the academics in your first year in computer science. So I'll try to talk a little bit about the courses, a little bit about computer science program and planning, and then I'll end with a little bit of general advice for you as you approach your first year. Some of the stuff I admit will be repeat from either earlier Q&A sessions this summer if you attended some of those, and some of this will also repeat stuff that Mario and I will be talking about in our first lecture on Monday. But hopefully the messages are useful enough that it's good for you to hear multiple times, and hopefully I'll provide some new information as well to keep you a bit on your toes today. So yeah, let's get started. So this is kind of just a quick welcome to make sure that you know who I am. So my name is David Liu. I'm a teaching stream faculty member in the Department of Computer Science. I'm the CSC 110 coordinator this year, and I'm co-teaching it with one of my great colleagues, Mario Botter. You've seen both of us in like welcome videos and stuff like that before, and you'll continue to see both of us this year. I'm also the first year computer science faculty advisor. So what that means is outside of just teaching the courses, which of course I'm going to be doing, I'm also available for general advising. So I monitor the Comp1 2020 email address and try to answer academic related questions there. If you have any issues that come up that's not specifically about 110, but about your general studies, please feel free to email me at any point during the semester, or sorry, during the year, because I want to be here to support you, not just in CSE 110 and 111, but in your entire kind of like academic studies here in your first year. And then finally, I think this is a new piece of information. Sometimes students ask me like, what should I call you? And so I go by two titles here at when I'm teaching. The first is just David. So if you just want to use my first name, that's totally fine. If you prefer something a little bit more formal, then you can go with Professor Liu. So either of those are totally fine with me. And in fact, if you want to call me David, that's my preferred name. Please feel free to do that. Okay. So this is hopefully a recap for you because we did this during course enrollments, and of course you've already enrolled in courses at this point. But just as like a quick overview, this year you're taking CSC 110, CSC 111, and full year MAT 137 or MAT 157. These are the kind of three required courses for your program admission guarantee, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The main thing that I want to remind you of here again is that CSC 110 is a double course. So you should only be enrolled in 2 elective courses this fall because CSE 110 is counting as 2 slots. We got some questions about this over the summer, and I just wanted to mention that even if you're currently over-enrolled in courses right now, you'll find, I think, that the workload will kind of like pick up as you go. So one of the pieces of advice that I'll be talking about later is that you don't want to you don't want to overload yourself too much in your very first semester here, especially given that CSC 110 is both important for your program as well as going to be twice the workload of a normal course. And that's going to be something that you might not expect until it kind of hits you that it's going to be quite a bit of work. So a little bit more about the course logistics and design in general. So The first thing is these courses are restricted to basically all of you, so first year computer science students. So all of the students that we have enrolled in the courses, so about 400 total, all the students that you'll see in lecture and tutorials, these are first year computer science students just like yourselves. You all have the computer science admission guarantee. We all hope that you continue on in computer science in second year. So this is really an opportunity for you to meet other students who you'll hopefully be spending the next 4 or 5 years of your life with. The courses are designed to be an introduction, but a rigorous introduction to kind of the foundations of all areas of computer science. So they integrate knowledge in computer science theory and software engineering. And what I mean by this is these courses aren't going to be just about programming. They're going to be about preparing you for all the skills necessary to go into many different areas of computer science. So software development by itself is like a huge field. There's many different types of programs that you can write, many different types of software you can write, from video games to web apps to mobile apps to machine learning algorithms that make predictions on data, to data visualization and data science. Like there's so many different areas of computer science that we hope that you discover during your time at, in our program. And CSE 110 and 111, they're not going to pick one particular area and go that deep into that area. So we've designed these courses to be fairly rigorous, but still serve as a broad introduction to many different areas of computer science. And let me go into that a bit, before I go into the next slide, let me just say, for computer science theory, this is where the math comes in. This is where we require in our first year curriculum to do not just programming, but also formal mathematics, proofs, and logic. And the reason for that isn't because we innately love math. It's because mathematical logic and proof is a really useful skill in computer science in many different areas of computer science. And we want to prepare you for those upper year courses, whether it's in algorithms, data structures, machine learning, computer graphics, data modeling. There's like so many different areas of computer science that really use more rigorous mathematics than you might expect. And we want to make sure you have that foundation in your first year courses as well. So computer science is more than just writing code. And the reason I put this on a separate slide is because often people coming into our program or coming into first year, even with a lot of programming experience from high school, they often think of computer science as being synonymous with producing code, writing code. And I think that's really natural because writing code is a really empowering feeling. You get to tell the computer to do something that you want it to do, and then it does it for you, and hopefully it does it right. That's a really great feeling to have. But I want to take a step back and say that even though you will have that feeling a lot in our first year of computer science, there's going to be more skills involved than just typing on your computer to write code. So over here, I've put in a couple of the different skill sets that you'll be exploring and developing that might be less familiar than just churning out lines and lines of code. So there's going to be talk about what are you actually writing programs for, understanding different problem domains and modeling them appropriately, going through a formal software engineering process of designing and documenting programs, identifying and fixing errors, testing your code. There's going to be all these processes that we don't just take for granted. We actually explicitly expect you to do, and we'll teach you how to do in a formal way so that you're ready for these to develop these really good habits in future courses and future jobs as well. And finally, verifying with certainty, or in other words, verifying with rigorous mathematical proof that particular programs are correct and efficient. And by efficient here, I mean they run quickly. And we'll talk about exactly what all of these skills mean in more detail throughout the year. But I just wanted to kind of highlight here that when I say that CS is more than just writing code, I also mean CSE 110 and 111 are going to be more than just writing code as well. So they're about thinking and problem solving like a computer scientist. And this is kind of like the main message that I'll be saying kind of again and again throughout the next 4 months or 8 months. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly talk about programs a little bit. So first of all, some terminology that you've probably heard and might know the difference, might not know the difference. So right now you're in an admission category. You're in the computer science first year admission category. After your first year in arts and science, you apply to one or more programs of study. This will happen at the end of your first year, so in spring 2021. my assumption right now is that most of you, or maybe all of you, are thinking about a computer science program of study. So just to kind of enumerate the different possibilities here, computer science has all three of a specialist, major, and minor. I'm not going to go into the technical differences right now, other than to say, one, all of the requirements for the specialist, major, and minor are in the arts and science academic calendar. So that's kind of like your actual reference for what would be in each of these programs. Basically, they vary in the number of computer science courses you take versus the room that you have for other majors or other minors elsewhere in arts and science. There's also a data science specialist program, which is joint with the stats department. So if you are interested in that, you should be looking at the data science specialist requirements as well. They're a little bit different than just admission to the computer science specialist major and minor. One more thing, just we get some questions from first year students about planning their programs right from the get-go. So there's a couple of different points that I wanted to make that are frequently asked questions. The first is, you might have also seen, in addition to these computer science programs here, that we also have these computer science focuses, a focus in artificial intelligence, a focus in computer graphics, a focus in the theory of computation. These focuses are additional programs that you can add onto a computer science specialist. So focuses are not required, they're optional, but that's what they are, and they're listed as an official program in addition to a computer science specialist. However, my advice when using the focuses right now for course planning is that to use them as guidelines, to use them as lists of useful courses in particular areas that would be recommended for you to take if you're interested in that particular area. You can switch between focuses at any point in time after you're admitted to the computer science specialist. So don't feel like whatever you choose in second year, you're stuck with. You can switch between those focuses at any time, and you can just choose to not complete a focus at all. That's totally fine. Second piece of advice, choose a double major, or at least strongly consider a double major. Computer science is a great field for sure, but I think that the way the industry is going and the way the research is going, computer science is broadening into so many different areas of society that often the people most well positioned to make kind of like big impacts in the world is when they combine computer science with a different discipline. So whether that's computer science and statistics for kind of like a more rigorous machine learning approach, whether that's computer science and humanities, for example, like English, to kind of like work in the digital humanities and understand how technology can be applied to the humanities, whether that's computer science and medicine, computer science and biology, or computer science and genomics, to kind of like understand how technology is being used to help people with their health needs, or to understand huge biological data sets. Computer science is often best, I think, sings when it's combined with a different discipline. So strongly consider a double major in another field that you're interested in. And finally, always have backup plans. I talked to some students this summer who had planned out the exact courses that they were going to take in their 4 years of a computer science major or specialist or whatever during their time at UofT. So here, my main piece of advice is don't just have one plan. Things will change. Either courses will have conflicts, you might take a term off, you might do an internship, you might, you might discover other interests, you might decide to add another major or another minor to your program. Don't feel like whatever plan you make right now is going to be the plan for your program or for your courses for the next 4 years. You can make plans. I don't want to stop you from making plans because I think those are very useful, but always have a couple of backup plans. Or if you don't want to necessarily have very formal backup plans, be prepared to be flexible. Be prepared for things to change over your 4 years at UofT. 4 years is a huge amount of time, and you're probably going to change as a person. And that might mean that you end up changing your interests as well, and that's totally okay. Okay, finally, I wanted to, in this section, I just wanted to quickly mention, so there's this thing called the Computer Science Admission Guarantee that you've probably heard about. Basically, these are the guarantee requirements for progressing to a computer science program from the admission category that you're currently in. So here we've put in, I've put in kind of like the the main points, which you can also find on our website. You have to have completed 4.0 credits. That's a requirement for all programs in arts and science. There are certain grade requirements in CSC 110 and 111. And for the CS major and specialist, you have to have also completed MAT 137 or MAT 157. So these requirements here, actually, no, I think I have this on another slide. Yes, okay. So these conditions, we've set them not because we want to like weed you out. I think there's often a perception in first year university courses in general that we create really challenging or really difficult first year courses to weed students out so that only the very best students get into the program. And it's not like that at all here. So here, we want every one of you to meet the conditions of the guarantee. And I'll actually go a step further and say that we're expecting the vast majority of you, like I think we say officially 80%, but like I'm sort of like trying to target 100% and then we'll see what happens. We want all of you to meet these requirements. It's not something where we're going to bell curve any marks or deliberately make any assessments really hard so that only X% of you get above whatever these conditions are. It's something that we want like all of you to do. But I'll flip that around a little bit and say that we also, like, I don't want to lie here, the computer science program in general is a fairly academic and work intensive program. And part of what we're hoping to do in our first year courses is make sure you're well prepared to succeed in second, third, and fourth year in computer science. And so I can't say, you know, we're going to make these courses really easy so that you'll all automatically get the grades that you need in order to progress to second year. Because honestly, that wouldn't be a service to you. It would make me get you from first to second year, but it would not prepare you well for our second year courses, and certainly not for upper year courses, and certainly not for work after graduation, whether that's industry or academia. And so here, we are going to have, I think, a fairly rigorous and fairly like rigorous introduction to computer science in CSC 110 and 111. So it is going to be achievable for all of you to meet the conditions of these guarantees. However, it's going to be your responsibility to work hard to do it. So if you think that it's going to be like an automatic 70%, that's not going to be the case, but it's definitely going to be a very achievable 70% and 77%, provided you put in the work. And I know that all of you are here right now. You've come to the University of Toronto. You want to do well in computer science. I'm sure that you are prepared to put in that work. And the role that Mario and I have is to kind of create this learning environment for you to work hard, but then succeed when you're working hard. That's the kind of philosophy that we have. So now I'll end 2 minutes with just a couple of small pieces of advice. So this is kind of like individual advice. And I put them side by side because I see them as kind of like two sides of kind of like, a human advice. So the first is don't wait around for things to happen, be proactive. Basically what I mean by this is kind of like what I was saying before, no one is going to do the work for you, right? So maybe that's kind of obvious, but like I think it's an important message to say. No one's going to do the work for you. It's going to be up to you to come to class, to stay on top of your work, to make plans, to ask questions when you need help. These are all things that we're like Mario and I, nor your friends, nor your parents are going to be able to do that stuff for you. We can encourage you, we can help you, we can try to build an environment where you feel safe doing these things, but it's going to be up to you to be proactive, both in your courses, but also things like meeting friends, talking to new people, looking for extracurricular opportunities. These are all things which are not going to be, like we can't sign you up for things ourselves. They're going to be things that you have to do. The flip side of that is, I put this large be proactive thing as a big goal for you, but it's also going to be the case that you're not always going to be able to do that. And so it's important to give yourself permission to be less than perfect, to make mistakes. Don't feel like you have to be perfect all the time, whether that's in your schoolwork, in your relationships with your friends or your family, or even just like taking care of yourself. Obviously, we want you to be healthy. We want you to be safe and happy, and we want you to work hard. But we also know that you're human, just like I'm human. And that means that you're not going to do that all the time. And that is going to be okay. So give yourself permission and forgive yourself if you think, okay, I kind of like messed up this assignment. I stayed up too late, I don't know, partying the night before. That's a sort of thing that can happen. And it's important that you are able to forgive yourself and move on. And then finally, one last piece of broad community device that I'll be sharing again and again this year in CSE 110, 111, and in other events. So we think a lot about building community. This event is designed to build community. The meet and greets that we had yesterday were designed to build community. But one thing about community, which I think often we don't necessarily appreciate as much, is the fact that these things, community and culture, are the accumulation of individual actions, interactions, reactions, made by accident or by choice. And what I mean by this is every person has a role to play in forming community and forming culture. You aren't going, like, we don't have this perfect community that you can just automatically join and then you feel like super welcome. That's, I wish, humans had invented such a thing, but we don't. The community that you'll find amongst the 400 of you, amongst the thousands of computer science students that we have in our department, amongst the 30 students in your tutorial section, amongst amongst your family and friends and other people you meet at UofT and other courses, these communities are going to feel good based on all of the individual members' contributions, whether that's something as simple as saying hello, turning on your webcam, typing something into the chat, having like a welcome message to say, hi, welcome to Campus Wire, it's great to see you here. These are all individual actions that every one single one might feel really small, but together, the accumulation, that's how we actually are going to build a really great community this year. And that's going to be true in our courses, it's going to be true in our tutorials, and it's going to be true for our more general computer science community across our department. So that's all. Thanks for your attention today. I look forward to seeing you in a couple minutes for this panel. Back to you, Anuja.
All right, thank you so much, Professor David Liu. So we're going to be going to the Prof panel, and for everyone watching live, you've got around 5 minutes that you can discuss with your leaders, put in questions for the Prof panel. I know there's a lot of questions already being there, so Professor, get ready.
Great.
All right, we'll see you all in about a few minutes.
Okay.